Okay, my friends, this is the Shadowblight Omnimancer. This is gonna be fun. Just a lot of auto triggers on this Necro. Shadowblight, let's go. Boom. We start zooming. Once our corpses are stacked, all we do is zoom. Use a bunch of stuff here to trigger lucky hits. And we are also like, look at our cooldowns. Like we are also pretty good on our immortality, I would say. Because we always have Blood Mist up. Or at least it's close. We accumulate damage with Barba. And then we're kind of going. This feels so fun to play. That's for sure. Just zoom, zoom. So we have our storm up all the time as well. Bone storm. There's like 100% chance to lucky hit pretty much, and that's how we're gonna get all of our bone storms up. And you wait a second for the pixel and boom, everything dies. It's definitely a pretty funny build. Not the very best on single target. But we can stack like so many bone storms too. Like boom. Once we have a few stacked up, it's going real smooth. Yeah, I think our bone prism almost always triggers it. And we have like movement speed in our blood mist, so we can basically run at normal movement speed there. And then we get a pixel and boom. It's also a very hardcore friendly build with the very good immortality. And right now I'm not really like as defensively spec'd, but you can be. If you'd want. They will all die from our dots. See, this is like basically bone storming. Bone storming all the stuff, and then we can remove our bone prison as well. Because sometimes we want to do that. See, there's 2 bone storm stacks on the target. And yeah, cooldown reduction is nutty. We could kill the boss now. Let's do the down way here, just for some more showcases. And look, when it's going well with the resets, we basically get it pretty much instantly. Boom, we get some spiders and the boss explodes. I think it's pretty funny. Yeah, we don't always have the best barrier synergy with Barba. I still feel it's very enjoyable. And we're leveling our gems for sure. Minroll and Edgemaster. Unlucky. Yeah, let's go over the build. Obviously, take this a bit with a grain of salt, guys, because I just made this character. I got some help from chat. We checked stuff. Probably gonna post some more in-depth guide here soon as well. But yeah, this is the Omni Storm. Like we just have basically our main damage comes from Shadowblight, which is our key passive, and we trigger that in various different ways. I'm just hovering over this here for a second. Here, this is the Shadowblight. So whenever we or our minions, we don't play minions here, so it's mostly us, deal Shadow damage, we get Shadowblight for 2 seconds, dealing more damage, and every 10 times we deal shadow damage, we create like a bigger DPS as shadow damage as well. So we have our helm here, where we have Blood Mist. This is our immortality stuff. Triggers corpse explosions. And we detonate these corpses to reduce the cooldown of Blood Mist again. And then we have the auto-trigger corpses. Whenever we walk near a corpse, it also automatically triggers. So we have like double auto-trigger on corpses, basically. Then we are playing Barbar for the big explosions here. And there is some anti-synergy with the dots and Barbar, so you might chest the dot gem as well. I like the Barbar better, at least in these like Serret Lyre and some of those runs that we play. But here we basically get another 2.8 multiplier for 4 seconds after we already triggered the Shadowblight passive once. And we get this very frequently for sure. Fueled by that is a good multiplier after consuming corpses. Get extra cooldown reduction here and movement speed. It's always really nice for these kind of like speed-oriented builds. Even though this build can also like speedrun 100s at later stages. I mean, my gear is not that good yet, but there is a lot of stuff to do. Yeah, this is basically a combination. Like Infinimus gets pretty close here as well. Then we have the Blood Mist here that leaves a trail. This one does shadow damage as well, and it contributes to our shadow damage procs for our Shadowblight passive. So we get even more procs, and we are also able to move at max movement speed inside of our Blood Mist. So we're still like pretty fast while all this is going on, pretty much. So that's what's really enjoyable about this. What I enjoyed here for a few hours now, where we just like reset and blast like very fast, and basically reduce our own cooldowns the more corpses we consume. So that's really cool. And you can see as I just run around the corpse, like it also triggers corpse tendrils and corpse explosion. And this is the new corpse explosion where it just seeks out enemies, right? That's from the from our unique gloves. You don't necessarily need them to play the build, but it helps. And then as the final one, we play our Decrepify aura. So whenever we come close to a target, here, we get this aura. And this one just slows everything and basically applies various debuffs on the target. Because we have points in the Decrepify, we get stuns, we get cooldown reduction, we get slow, and we reduce the damage that the monsters deal by 20% as well. It's really good for toughness, and it's just like this auto aura that happens all the time when you walk close to an enemy, which feels really good overall, I feel. And these are basically the 3 key rings here, and this one is another multiplier for our Shadowblight damage. 1.4 multiplier, stacking up to 5 times, really strong. A lot of damage. Then we're obviously playing the Lidless Wall here. This allows us to have Perma Bone Storm. And this is also amplified because in our Book of the Dead we sacrifice all 3 minions. So we get extra shadow damage here for the Skeleton Warriors. We get 15% chance against Vulnerable, and we make stuff vulnerable with Corpse Tendrils. And our Bone Prism also makes stuff vulnerable. So we get another 1.15 multiplier. And we get another 1.3 multiplier for sacrificing our Golem. And these 3 sacrifices feed into, I don't have a perfect roll, but I have a 20% out of 25 roll, feed into the chance of triggering our Lidless Wall, which extends our Bone Storm and also grants us more Bone Storms. And that's this skill that gets just auto-triggered more and more, and it gives us damage reduction and 20% crit chance here, and does damage as well. So that's really good to just sort of like auto-trigger. Because if you have a 25% roll, you have 3 sacrifices in your Book of the Dead, plus you have a 25% chance base, so you have a 100% chance on lucky hit to get it. And yeah, Bone Prism has basically 100% chance to lucky hit, and your rest of lucky hits is also pretty decent here. 20% here, 50% on Corpse Explosion, another 25% on Corpse Tendrils. And then we have our Bone Storm becomes a Darkness skill. This allows us on the weapon. This allows us to benefit from like various passives and various other modifiers here. And it's really strong for sure. And this weapon is not 100% ideal. We have like quite low rolls and everything. And overall, it's pretty decent though. A wand we use for extra lucky hit chance. This helps us with our Littlest Wall. And you can also use a sword, I guess, if you have. We have here, we could go for the Unstoppable when we get more movement speed. Or with the one that gives us, what's it called? Like there's a unique boots that give us lots of benefits as well. They have lucky hit chance as well. I'm gonna put them in the planner. They are called. Here, this one. Griefs of the Empty Tomb. This one is if you play the Sever build as well. Like there's always multiple options for the last skill slot. I've seen people play with Golem. Instead of sacrificing it, they play Golem. Or you can play Reap, or you can play Sever. There's many options. I like the Reap one. This one is okay to use. But yeah. Yeah, Grief of the Empty Tomb. There's lots of options here and many different ways to build it. But this is a build that I'm playing right now. Then we have Shielding Storm here. That one gives us Barrier whenever we have Bone Storms. And again, with Littlest Wall, we always have Bone Storms. So it's pretty decent. The only, like, a bit of not the greatest synergy is with Barbar here, because with Barbar we don't always proc it. Because obviously with Barbar we accumulate the damage, and then it doesn't trigger it. So we only get a few triggers from this one, but I still think a very nice toughness boost for our Bone Storm and for our general toughness. And then we have these ones here. Again, you don't necessarily need these, but this helps. It's extra damage from Corpse Explosion, and it like auto-seeks the targets in a way. So that one I think is really helpful. Then we have Disobedience here, just again for toughness. We get all the dots effects, all the Shadowblight, all the shadow damage. We have this up all the time pretty much. And yeah, instead of one of the inroads here, you should definitely have something like close damage reduction. I just didn't have that armor. And then the helm we already talked about. This one basically allows us to have a very nice uptime on our Blood Mist by consuming corpses. And yeah, that's pretty much the items and the synergy. Again, the Necromancer got it really good with the hearts. Got the Vicious Heart. Walking near the corpses triggers them automatically, and auto-decrepify. Really good stuff. On the ability sides, we have Reap. We play this one because it has decent lucky hit and gives us a corpse guaranteed the first time we hit an enemy with an ICD of 4 seconds. And it also helps with some attack speed, which gets even more lucky hits and even more corpses. And then we just need another 3 points here to go to the next one. Huge Flash is pretty nice. Lucky hit. Corpse, we create a corpse. We can trigger the corpse so much. Then we have Blood Mist. This one is, we put points in it. You can also put 5 points if you have another spare one. This one just reduces the cooldown even further. And yeah, gives us even more corpses that it then consumes. Then we have Corpse Explosion right now. We have that on our pants for some extra ranks. It's another source of damage, which helps in the low speed runs for sure. Bone Prism here, this one guarantees us vulnerability, and also, for some reason, this one also lucky hits every time you use it. So this is basically if you have a 25 Littlest Wall, it guarantees you a proc. And that's really useful for sure. Then we have Fueled by Death. This one gives us multiplicative damage after consuming corpses again. We're always consuming corpses, so that's pretty good. This is the one we have on the amulet currently. So that surely helps a lot. And then we have our Perma Decrepify from our Brutal Heart. Again, when we have an enemy close here, we just get Decrepify, and that's why we put skill points in Decrepify, reduces our cooldowns, a bunch of other stuff, gives us damage as well with Amplify. Corpse Tendrils here, makes stuff vulnerable, pulls it, really good synergy with everything, it automatically triggers. Then we have all the darkness multipliers here, like cast with our weapon. Our Bone Storm is also a darkness skill, and our Shadowblight's darkness anyways, so we get nice benefits here. And then we have all the sacrifice bonuses. We have all Book of the Dead sacrificed, so we get some nice bonus here. Bone Storm, and then key passive Shadowblight, obviously. Last but not least is the Paragon boards. There's sure a lot more to min-max here again. I don't really have crazy Necro experience. But this is a very solid board. I mean, like blasting 60s, 70s, like with relative ease. Exploit here because we make stuff vulnerable with our Bone Prism and our Corpse Tendrils. Really good. Wither here, shadow damage is our main source, and you notice here we have a lot of shadow damage over time, even more shadow damage. Then we play Scourge here with even more shadow damage, and from us 1.1 multiplier as well. We always have that one up. Flesh Eater, obviously we explode a lot of corpses, 1.4 multiplier, really strong. Then we have Control here, damage to slowed or chilled. We perma-slow with our Decrepify aura that we get here again. So our Decrepify basically just permanently slows everything. Slowed by 40% even, so that's a big slow. And then we go up here, we skill Scent of Death. When we have corpses nearby, we gain bonuses. And we have Darkness here, which allows us to deal even more shadow damage. Pretty strong stuff. And last but not least, we have the Essence here, increased crit damage. And our Shadowblight can crit, and it does crit, and it gives us a very nice bonus here overall. So this is like, a lot of people ask me why I have Fortify here, like even though you don't have anything to proc Fortify, you still need it to reach these dex nodes here for the 14 crit damage. Yeah, and that's pretty much, let me show the stats as well. Right now I have like a bit low crit chance, obviously, because the unique gloves here don't roll crit chance. That's the problem. So that would be like a solid 40% if we had crit chance here. But overall, the build's a lot of fun to play, very easy to play as well. Like you just like press your buttons and it's basically going as you've seen in the gameplay. And that's fun. I mean, yeah, you can get Fortification. I also saw some people play Fortify with Blood Orbs, because that you can proc with your Tendrils. But I like to have more uptime on Vulnerable, especially when we play with Barbar. And, well, Bone Prism helps with that as well. But yeah, that's it, guys. Shadowblight, Omnistorm, we go Necro. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.